This refers to a data preprocessing technique in the scikit-learn library, used to standardize features by removing the mean and scaling to unit variance. This makes features have a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. The data being analyzed. In this case, it involves age and income as features. We are exploring how applying a standard scaler impacts the data. These are the variables in the dataset. Age, measured in years, and income, in thousands of dollars. This context will help us understand the units and scales involved. This is the specific function call from scikit-learn that applies the standardization transformation. The fit method learns the parameters mean and standard deviation from the data, and the transform method applies the transformation. This is the result of applying standard scalar.fit_transform to the original dataset. It's the modified dataset where features have been standardized. This indicates a quiz format where you must select the correct statements regarding the transformed data. The core focus is determining the effect of standard scalar on the data characteristics. This sets the stage for the multiple choice questions, indicating that the questions will be based on the effect of standard scalar.fit_transform on the input dataset. Statement A tests the understanding that standard scalar centers the data around a mean of 0 for each feature. Statement B assesses if one understands that standard scalar scales the data to have a standard deviation of 1 for each feature. Statement C probes if you realize that while the shape might somewhat resemble the original, standardization changes the mean and standard deviation, thus altering the distribution. Statement D tests the understanding that the units are changed. They become standard deviations from the original mean. The dataset contains information on two features, age and income. Think of it like a spreadsheet, with rows representing individual entries and columns showing their age, in years, and income, in thousands of dollars. This dataset is what we'll be using to test the standard scalar . This line shows applying scikit-learn's standard scalar to the dataset. Standard scalar is like a mathematical tool that takes your data and makes it nicer for machine learning algorithms. Fit_transform does two things at once. It first learns the mean and standard deviation of each feature, age and income, and then uses those values to transform each data point by subtracting the mean and dividing by the standard deviation for each feature. This refers to the modified dataset. After standard scalar.fit_transform has run. It's the output, the dataset ready to feed to the machine learning model. The key thing to remember is that this new dataset will have different values, but we expect the overall distribution pattern might remain. This is the question that you are answering, based on the characteristics of the transformed data after using standard scalar . It asks about various properties of the transformed data, including the mean, standard deviation, distribution, and units of measurement. This question explores whether the mean age in the transformed data is approximately 0. After standardization, all the values will be adjusted relative to their mean, hence centering around 0. This is a crucial characteristic to note. This tests if the standard deviation of income in the transformed data is approximately 1. Standard scalar aims to make each feature have a standard deviation of 1. So, this is a direct test of whether standard scalar has done its job. This statement asks whether the distribution of the age feature shape of the data spread is unchanged after transformation. This is a key point to consider, as standardization changes the actual values but not necessarily the overall shape of the data's distribution. This asks whether the units of measurement, years for age, thousands of dollars for income, are the same after the transformation. Standard scalar modifies the values, and so units are changed as well. The dataset contains two features, age, in years, and income, in thousands of dollars. This is the raw data we'll be working with. Think of it like a spreadsheet with each row representing a person and two columns representing their age and income. These are the two characteristics, or variables, we're measuring for each individual in the dataset, age and income. This is a function from the Scikit-learn library, a popular tool for machine learning. It takes the dataset as input and applies a process called standardization. We'll see exactly what this means in the next step. After applying the "standard scalar.fit_transform" function, this is our modified dataset. The values have been changed, but we will explore how this change impacts the data. The mean, average, of both the age and income features in this transformed dataset will be approximately 0. Similarly, the standard deviation, a measure of spread or variability, of both features will be approximately 1. This refers to the entire process of using "standard scalar". It's a way of preparing your data, making sure it's all on a similar scale. Think of it like adjusting the knobs on a sound mixer to make each instrument equally loud and clear. It centers the data around 0 and scales it to have a standard deviation of 1.